Hey everybody, alright, in this video let's talk about the Imagineering story on Disney Plus episode 2. So this episode really caught me off guard, you guys. It really caught me off guard. I didn't expect it to hit me emotionally like it did. You know, the first episode, it hit me emotionally, right? And I expected that because it was about Walt and about his connection to Disneyland. And Disneyland is really a piece of my soul. I love that park. It's part of my childhood. Just so many memories and everything. But Walt Disney World in Florida, I don't have that same connection. So I knew they were going to start moving into EPCOT and the Magic Kingdom in this next episode. And I thought, okay, I'll enjoy it, but I'll be sort of kind of emotionally disconnected. No, that was not the case at all. So I actually, in this episode, I learned a lot more. I'm actually not as familiar with Walt Disney World as I am with Disneyland, to be completely honest with you. And it was really touching, in my opinion, how, after Walt's death, Roy, his brother, Roy Disney, who was really the finance guy. He was the bean counter of the two, right? Walt was the creative and Roy was the bean counter. And, it was really one of these things where Roy was sort of kind of thrown into being the Walt, so to speak, for Florida, right? He had to kind of make these decisions and figure out what's going on. And it was touching in a way that, he really... The thing, for at least what I got from the documentary, the thing that really pushed Roy was doing this for his little brother, doing this for Walt. And you could tell he's out of his element, but he was doing it for his brother. He had to see this project through for Walt. And my God, it was really, really emotional. And I'll say it, like if Disneyland and EPCOT are Walt's parks, the Magic Kingdom in Florida is Roy Disney's park. For sure. And it was really just the story of how he pulled through and made it happen was really, it was emotional, and it really resonated with me, actually. It really did. So I really loved this episode. Now, they dived into Magic Kingdom, then they got into EPCOT and the creation of EPCOT and how EPCOT spurned a ton of new jobs at Imagineering and got everyone fired up. This is a brand new thing. And, Card Walker, the CEO of the time of the Walt Disney Company, was integral in the creation of EPCOT and how they sort of had to reimagine it. Walt's original vision of EPCOT was a real working, living, breathing city. The current Disney management at the time didn't feel that was really that feasible, so they had to kind of reconfigure the whole concept of EPCOT. And I think they did a beautiful job. This permanent World's Fair sort of park where you can visit, you can travel the world in one park and see new technologies, and it was really just a brilliant concept that came together. So this episode really dove into that aspect of it, and it was great. It was phenomenal. Now, the other thing that really surprised me was the amount of time they spent on Tokyo Disneyland. Now, for those of you that don't know, Tokyo Disneyland is not owned by the Walt Disney Company. It's owned by the Oriental Land Company, OLC, and basically Disney licensed out their their characters and their properties, and OLC can utilize Imagineers and what have you, but the park is not owned by Disney. So when they spent this much time in this special, in this episode for Tokyo Disneyland, I was pretty excited because we don't really know that much about the history of Tokyo. And it was phenomenal. I mean, they talked about how, the Japanese really wanted a Disneyland in Japan, and OLC approached Disney. They were basically begging them, come on, let's do a deal, we'll give you everything you want, just come and build a Disneyland here in Tokyo. And ultimately Card Walker said, yeah, let's do it. And it was a phenomenal success. It's, to this day, one of the most gorgeous Disney resorts ever built, with Tokyo Disney Sea and everything. But it was really cool to see that whole story come together for the first international Disney park, Then the episode kind of took a little bit of a darker tone. After Tokyo Disneyland, and after the creation of EPCOT, the Imagineering, whatever you want to call it, the whole Imagineering in general, just became deflated. You know, they started doing a lot of like layoffs, and creatively they didn't know really where to go from here. You know, they had all these busy projects with Epcot and Tokyo, and then once those ended, it was kind of like, okay, now what? Right? And the department took a hit. It did. They laid off a lot of people, and the company in general at this time was not doing well. Okay, there were a lot of corporate raiders trying to take over Disney and split the company up and sell off the pieces. It was a really dark time for Disney. And yeah, that's how they ended the episode. It was like, oh wow, you know, as a huge Disney fan, a Disney diehard, it's part of my blood, it's part of my DNA. I love Disney so much, and to see the company like that close to being bought and sold and split up into like 4 different pieces or something, it was depressing. It really was. But there is a ray of hope, and the ray of hope is going to be the next episode when they talk about Disney CEO Michael Eisner and Frank Wells and Jeffrey Katzenberg, who come in and save the company and really propel the company to what we know it is today. And you know what? I'm going to go off on a little bit of a side note right now, but Michael Eisner, you know, they got to give this man a Disney Legends Award. Okay, this man saved the Walt Disney Company. Not to say he didn't have any help. Frank Wells was a huge part of that. But they got to give Michael Eisner a Disney Legends Award. Come on, this guy saved the Walt Disney Company. It probably wouldn't even exist today in the way that we know it if it wasn't for Michael Eisner. Come on. They've given people that have done far less Disney Legends Award. It's time for Michael Eisner to get his award. He definitely earned it for sure. He is a Disney legend. But have you guys seen episode 2 of the Imagineering story? What are your thoughts on it? Did you love it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? You know, did it hit you emotionally like it hit me? I mean, it was surprising how much it hit me emotionally. But I mean, if you're from Florida, I couldn't even imagine. It probably hit you even harder. But what are your thoughts? Comment below. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.